Alright, here we are. Buccaneer Bay. Let's do some challenges, why don't we? I believe Buccaneer Bay has... Does it have the most challenges out of all the islands? It might. I already see one on the right. Okay, interesting that all of the burn piles kind of reset. Does that always happen? Weird. And there's another one on the left, along with Barbossa's challenge right there. Here we go.
You ready for this?
Buccaneer Bay Ballyhoo.
Fantastic.
Gather as many collectibles as you can before time runs out. Alright, so your typical collector's challenge where you have to just collect orbs across the map under a certain time. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Alright, so I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Jack Sparrow in this game is voiced by Jared Butler, who... Which I looked him up on the internet. First of all, I believe he shares the name with an NBA athlete, interestingly enough. So, when I first looked up his name, first thing that showed up was about the athlete. So, yeah, that's a little confusing. But it's interesting, because voicing Jack Sparrow, pretty much any Johnny Depp character in stuff like video games, is kind of the only thing that Jared Butler's really known for. It's just that, oh, he's pretty much the guy they get if they can't get Johnny Depp. Because plenty of other video games have Jared Butler voicing Jack Sparrow, such as the Pirates of the Caribbean At World's End tie-in game.
Brilliant.
Along with, I forget what other games he voices Jack Sparrow in. Specifically, he might voice him in Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't know. But I do know that he also would voice other Johnny Depp characters like the Mad Hatter in the tie-in video game for the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland film. Yeah, that actually had a tie-in video game. Do you know that? And what's interesting is that in this game, he would also be the voice of Tonto from the Lone Ranger, who you may know was voiced by Johnny Depp in the movie. So it's kind of interesting, you know, two characters in this that are played by the same actor in movies are also played by the same actor within this game. It's really funny. So I guess Jared Butler is he's just the Johnny Depp guy, apparently. One of the few people that apparently can do a good enough Johnny Depp impression for games like this. Now I know there's plenty of people that are like that, including some other actors you may hear in this game.
That's what I'm talking about.
But I don't know, I just think that's interesting. Okay, whatever that was.
Great.
Again, I'm using the new controller that I bought, so it might not be the best for this. I don't know. Could just be the batteries for all I know. I'll probably check that after this challenge, which seems like we're almost done. However, we're get up there. Uh-oh. Okay, let me try this. Dang it! I think we have to go on top of the buildings and then jump down. Ugh. Okay. Dang it. Well, batteries seem just fine. I don't know. off console, of course. How do I turn off the controller? Probably yeah, just take the batteries out. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe the batteries were just loose. I'll use a different controller for now. Alright. Let's try that again.
Collect this many. The time to beat. Fantastic. Looking great. Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. Great.
Yeah, we jumped down. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know why I didn't do that before, but whatever. I think before I was talking about what crystal characters I had while playing these games as a kid. And I believe I only had half of them because I had Crystal Sully, I had Crystal Jack Sparrow, Lightning McQueen, which I previously said I think everyone had. And I also had, interestingly enough, the crystal variant of Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey. I'll get into why he's interesting later. Trust me, it's probably one of the weirdest parts of this game in particular. I actually kind of forget when I bought Crystal Jack Sparrow in particular. I mean, it had to have been at Toys R Us, but I don't remember when I got them at all. I've just kind of had them, you know. Alright, let's do another challenge. Which I believe there's one over there. Yep, there it is. Alright, Buccaneer break.
Fantastic.
Gather as many collectibles as you can. Alright. This is just the same thing, but on the other part of Buccaneer Bay. Just more orb collecting. Perfect.
Fantastic. Looking great. Awesome. Great. One more.
Alright, easy as that.
You did it. Great. Here we go. Collect this many. Here's the time limit.
Now I think I previously said that all the tools and packs that you buy in a playset can actually be used in the toy box mode as well. That's probably why they have the blunderbuss and Atlas blade for this playset specifically. Is because so that you can access stuff that's similar to the Pirates of the Caribbean characters' tools or like ranged and melee attacks with any character. That is a cool thing about tools and packs is the fact that yes, they can be used with every character except for the Cars characters. Unfortunately.
Great finish.
But that's besides the point.
Here we go.
Because, you know, the blunderbuss and the Atlas blade are really similar to the Pirates of the Caribbean characters. Ranged with melee attacks. So that's probably why they did that. So they could use stuff similar to it with any character. It's weird because there are some other characters in this game to where you can pretty much use their tools and packs with any character. And I believe in later Disney Infinity games, you would be able to use the flintlock and the sword, or just a generic sword, as seen here, with any character. So it's interesting. I believe, yeah, we just have 9 more.
That's what I'm talking about. Great.
So, yeah. Simple as that. Alright. Now, are there more? I think there might be one more challenge in Buccaneer Bay, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so as it turns out, there's only 2 challenges outside of the Barbossa challenge. So we may as well go ahead and do that while we're at it. Which I believe it is over here in the middle. No, I'm not. I'm looking for the one over here. There we go. Brawl at the Bay, which requires Hector Barbossa. Alright, here we go.
Fantastic.
Defeat all the enemies before time runs out. So we got a combat-based challenge. Kind of like the ones we saw in the Incredibles playset.
The clock.
And yes, we can use tools and packs for this one. Cool.
You did it.
Alright.
Awesome.
Alright, so Hector Barbossa in this game is voiced by Brian George, as opposed to Jeffrey Rush, like the character was in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Now, what's interesting is that, similar to Jared Butler, Brian George would often be the secondary voice that they would get for the character Hector Barbossa. He even voiced the character as far back as, I believe, Kingdom Hearts 2, along with the PlayStation 2 game, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Legend of Jack Sparrow, which kind of served as a video game sequel to the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Fantastic.
I believe Brian George would also do a bunch of other voice acting, such as... Cool. Anyways, he'd also be the voice of Ki-Adi-Mundi on Star Wars The Clone Wars, along with the character Duff Killian on Kim Possible, the Disney Channel show. So that's kind of interesting. One thing I found interesting when looking Brian George up is that apparently he played a character on the Disney Channel show That's So Raven. I believe his name is Dr. Sleevemore. And he would even reprise the character in the in kind of the sequel show to That's So Raven, Raven's Home, which I believe aired a whole... Oh, I know it's several years. I think like 12 years after the original show ended. So that's really interesting. That Brian George, of all people, would come back several years later to play his character on a live-action sitcom. To think that it's the same guy who voiced Captain Barbossa in this game. It's kind of interesting. Come on. There we go. Alright. Yep, that's it for Brawl at the Bay. So that is it for all of the Buccaneer Bay challenges. May as well go ahead and go to another island. I believe Fort St. Grand has some challenges we can do. So we may as well go ahead and head over there. Oh, another thing I found out about Brian George is apparently his voice acting debut was in the Care Bears movie. Isn't that cool? I don't know, it's just... something I thought was interesting. You know the Care Bears movie, right? The movie that that beat Disney at the box office in 1985. I'll always remember that. That was when The Black Cauldron came out, one of Disney's biggest failures in terms of their big animated films. And just to make it even more embarrassing, they got beat out by the frickin' Care Bears movie. It'll always be one of the first things I tell people about The Black Cauldron, if it's ever brought up in any conversation.
That'd be a tough one, Captain. We may need stronger cannon.
We already have stronger cannon, Gibbs. I've told you this multiple times. Although, there is one thing I forgot. And that's decorating the ship. I think I talked about this before. That may as well just try to make some sort of concoction with all the different ship parts. We could try to go for one specific theme, or we could just try to go all out and make something crazy. Let's see. Okay, okay. Oh no, that one's got a skeleton on it. Screw it. We're going with the skeleton. I don't know how I feel about that. That's cool, that's cool. Ooh, that's cool. Let's go with this. And for colors, well, they all kind of look the same. Well, the Royal Navy one kind of looks nice. Nice. There we go. We got a ship now. How cool is this? This friggin' thing. Alright, let's head into Fort St. Grand now. There it is. The challenge is over here.
Want a challenge?
Rally on the fort.
Awesome.
We got a collector challenge.
Challenge initiated.
All right.
This man. Here's the time to beat.
Let's see. Did I ever mention the monkey on Hector Barbossa's figure? I might have. The fact that he has a... Or the monkey actually has a name. His name's Jack, according to the movies.
Looking great.
And I remember when first seeing the figure at a friend's house, that was one of the first things I noticed about the figure. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He's got a monkey on him. It's interesting that the monkey actually never appears, or I'll just call him Jack. Jack never appears in this game. So it is a little weird that the figure has him, but I don't know, I guess it's not that weird. Considering, you know, how big of a role he played in the movies.
That's what I'm talking about.
But, I don't know.
Great. One more.
But I guess that is something that I have realized, that a lot of my
You did it.
judgment for this game from the past, a lot of my experience back when this game first came out. I had the game, but a lot of it was from playing the game at friends' houses, mainly because I had the Wii version of the game, which, you know, was kind of a downgrade of the game by quite a bit, so I would always go to friends' houses who would, you know, often have either the Wii U version or the PlayStation 3 version, stuff like that, and always be super jealous of them, you know, because they got the actually good version of the game, while I got the crappy Wii port. Although I didn't know anyone that had the 3DS version of the game, which that's a whole other beast to tackle.
Great.
But it wasn't until recently that one of my friends bought the 3DS version.
Fantastic.
I don't remember why. I think they found it for super cheap, so they bought it and showed it to me, and we kind of messed around with it for a little while.
Brilliant.
I actually might play through that if I ever have a 3DS capture card. Maybe one day. But if I do, I'll definitely try to play through the 3DS version of Disney Infinity, because, I don't know, I'm curious.
Almost there.
Where's the... Oh, there's a bunch of orbs over there, of course. Freaking course I missed those. Whatever, we got a whole minute to spare. I might be able to get back up there. Or maybe... What? That's really cool. That part just does not have collision. Very cool, game. Alright, looks like I'm screwed. Perfect. Alright, gotta do that again. Because apparently there's a specific path you gotta take in order to do this challenge properly. We could try getting some of the orbs up here.
That's what I'm talking about.
That would actually go for a lot of games now that I think about it, that I would go over to friends' houses and get jealous because they would always have the same games as me, but on more powerful hardware. Because I always stuck to Nintendo consoles, which, you know, for the longest time haven't been the greatest in terms of, like, third-party games. Including stuff like this, along with plenty of other licensed games. Like, you know, the Lego games. How the heck am I gonna get those? I don't know. We'll probably find out here in a bit. As soon as I get these.
Awesome. That's what I'm talking about.
Actually, do we go up here? Maybe not. Maybe we could just drop down here.
Almost done. Fantastic.
There we go. That works.
Great finish.
Might be another way, though.
Here's your objective.
Ooh,
Here's the
yeah.
time limit.
Okay, I think I know what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm trying to think what was my earliest experience of that jealousy. It was definitely not Disney Infinity, because there's been plenty of games before. Like, have had better versions on their systems that I've been super jealous over.
Brilliant.
Might have actually been one of the Lego games that I mentioned,
Great.
because
Awesome.
those games were pretty much on everything.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they were just pretty popular in general. So a lot of my friends, including myself, would probably have a lot of them. Or at least a couple. Because I'm trying to think what other multi-platform games would I have had at this time.
Fantastic.
I don't know, but I do know that Disney Infinity was definitely the most jealous that I got
Fantastic.
over these kinds of games.
Looking great.
I mean, even then, like, the Lego games, you know, were better on systems aside from the Wii, because, you know, that's all I had at this time. But, like, I think other than graphically, they weren't a whole lot better.
That's what I'm talking about. Great.
Especially compared to a game like this, to where the Wii version was like completely different.
Great. One more. Brilliant. You win.
Yeah, never mind. The Lego games might be closest to that. Alright, anyways, here's Davy Jones's challenge over here. Gathering Grand. Alright, may as well put him on the base.
Fantastic.
Alright, gather as many collectibles as you can before time runs out. It's just another collector's challenge. Of course it is.
Here's the time to beat.
Ugh. No, I think I've talked about this before, but I've already talked about who Davy Jones is voiced by in this game. He's actually voiced by Bill Nighy, once again. Same person that voiced him in the movies, which is really interesting. Now, I did look up what some of his other works have been. You know, he's been in a ton of stuff on both movies and television. Of course, a lot of British stuff, because, you know, he's a British actor. So, that means that he's been in a ton of stuff like radio shows, you know, which I think are more popular over there than here in America.
You did it. Fantastic. Here's your objective. Here's the time limit.
But aside from Davy Jones, I'm trying to think like what other notable voice roles that he's had. I think he actually voiced one of the iterations of, oddly enough, one of the iterations of Santa Claus in Arthur Christmas. Interestingly enough, which was a film from Aardman. And I think more recently,
Fantastic.
this is a weird role of his, but I believe he voiced Mewtwo in the Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie, which I personally thought wasn't that good, but I think a lot of people saw it because, you know, it's Pokemon. So, like, you know, even
That's what I'm talking about.
then, I personally, I think a lot of other people disliked it from what I've seen.
Great.
Plus, I thought Mewtwo in that movie looked horrible in, like, you know, realistic CGI form. It just didn't look good at all.
Fantastic.
But whatever. I wonder if Bill Nighy did the mocap for him. Kind of like what he did for Davy Jones. Probably not.
Finish. Fantastic. Here's your objective. Watch the clock.
Now, I think from what I've researched, Bill Nighy used to be a huge theater actor and then made his way into film, I believe starting in the 80s. So yeah, he's been
Looking great.
in showbiz for quite a while now. And I think, yeah, he's still doing stuff. I think he, as of the time of recording this, he recently was nominated for an Academy Award. So that's pretty cool.
Great.
Now, I don't think I got enough time to research if he's won any Oscars, but he might have, considering how much stuff he's been in.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Looking great. Awesome. That's what I'm talking about.
Pretty sure he's also done playing more weird stuff, like, I think he played an uncredited cameo in Doctor Who, of all things. So that's interesting. And yet here he is, you know, voicing Davy Jones in a freaking Disney game, you know, a Disney video game, a Disney licensed video game. Well, I mean, it was technically published by Disney, but still. So weird. It's even more interesting because I don't think he's done that many other video game roles. I think the only other one I was able to find was, I think he voiced a character in The Elder Scrolls Online, of all things. But that's about it.
That's what I'm talking about. win.
Whatever, I'd say he still got it. Considering that laugh right there. And I believe that is it for the Fort St. Grand challenges. Now we shall go off to another island. I believe there's some challenges in Plantino Bayou. So we should probably head over there. There it is, over there. Now, I think this challenge might actually have to do with your dinghy, now that I think about it. Yep, I believe it does. It has a special little icon.
So, are you up for it?
Shooting up the swamp. Get out of here. Ugh. Anyways.
You ready for this?
Alright, break as many collectibles as you can before time runs
Here
out.
we go.
So yeah, we're gonna have to actually use the cannon on our dinghy in order to shoot these orbs. So that's interesting.
Fantastic.
Okay. I think from my knowledge there are like a lot of them around here, which is probably gonna be... It's probably gonna get pretty frustrating on the later difficulties, considering that, you know, we're gonna have to destroy all of these. I don't think we could run into them either. We have to shoot them with our cannon. Yep! Alright. We have no choice but to use our cannons. Great. There we go. Alright.
Did it.
Alright, looks like we're gonna have to actually get out of our dinghy and head back to the challenge pad. Well, there's another challenge up there. Okay.
Challenge in
Sure, why not? Let's do that. This time, we have to break 15 of them. This shouldn't be too bad, right? Sure hope not.
awesome.
Okay. Here's something I don't think I've talked about for this playthrough. Now, alongside Disney Infinity, around the same time, there was actually another kind of Disney crossover-esque game that came out on 360, PS3, and Wii called Disney Universe, which is a pretty interesting one, to where... In fact, I'd argue that it's even more similar to Skylanders than Disney Infinity is, which was what a lot of people compared it to. Mainly because it actually shares similar gameplay to Skylanders, rather than having the Toys to Life aspect that game has, to where it is your typical dungeon crawler, where you go across levels and defeat enemies. But rather, or
Fantastic.
pretty much that, but having kind of a Disney flavor to it, where you travel across Disney worlds as these generic characters that you could put Disney-themed costumes onto. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I never owned it. However, I had a friend who owned it,
Here's your
and I vaguely remember playing it at their house, and I'm pretty sure they were the only friend I knew of that had the game. I don't even think we played it for that long. I'm pretty sure the game had DLC
talking about.
on 360 and PS3. I think there were like extra costumes you could get and stuff. But yeah, ain't that interesting. I don't hear too many people talking about that game, so who knows if it was that good. It was probably just average for, if I were to guess. But I don't know. By the way, on hard, we have to destroy 21 of these. That might not be too bad considering how much time we get. think he's a little tricky to control, so that might hinder us. I do remember, though, that I believe one of the franchises to be represented a lot in it was actually Pirates of the Caribbean, which is probably why I mention it now. But, yeah, I believe the only other thing I know about it is that I believe it's actually playable on Xbox One and Xbox Series X via backwards compatibility, or at least the Xbox 360 version is. So it's probably, you know, at least it's really easy to go ahead and check out. Of course there's an invisible wall there, dear God. In the near future, who knows, I might check it out myself, see how it is. Pretty sure that same friend is also the person that introduced me to another Disney video game with the Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension game. Now, that is a game that I actually own, and I remember first playing it at their house. I'm not the biggest fan of that game. It's okay. But maybe that's a game that because I have played it, I do know it's really average. It's very similar to Ratchet and Clank, I guess, because, you know, there's a whole bunch of different weapons you can equip in that game and stuff. It's pretty standard, though. It's just going around levels and defeating enemies and solving simple puzzles. You know, your typical action platformer from around that era. I believe that was on the Wii and the PlayStation 3. I had it on Wii, which I'm pretty sure most people did. Actually, you know what? Most people I know actually had that game on the DS rather than the Wii. So, yeah. Of course, there's a lot of these licensed games that were on the DS that most people I know had the DS versions. I think they might have sold... I think some of them actually sold better than their console counterparts in some cases. Well, I mean, look, I know the DS sold better than systems like the Wii, but still, I just find it kind of weird, because usually they were completely different games. I would almost never, like, buy the DS versions because, or like even get some from family members and stuff, because I think even as a kid, I knew that, like, these handheld versions were going to be inferior to the console versions in almost every case with almost every single game. So yeah, I think even I knew that if I were to ask for a video game that was on all sorts of platforms, I would just ask for the Wii version because, like, well, even as a kid, I knew that home consoles were going to have better games than the DS. It could have just been from personal experience, because I had stuff like Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy on the DS, and that game freaking sucks. So, that's probably why. Just personal experience. Knowing that, wow, these games look better on this console than on this console. But I'm pretty sure there were a lot of friends I had that were not the same way. Which, like, I get it. If you're a person that travels a lot and would take a handheld system to places, sure, playing you know, buying the handheld versions of these games would make a lot of sense.
Almost done.
However, I was that weirdo that would bring home consoles to every vacation my family would go on. By the way, we'd level up. And also, I don't think I ever introduced this challenge. This is the Plantino Bayou Dash. Yeah, it's your typical collector's challenge. Pretty self-explanatory. 60 orbs we gotta collect in this difficulty. But yeah, have I ever brought that up? That I was that weirdo that rather than just bringing a handheld system on vacation to wherever, I would legit just bring a home console like the Wii. I guess I was actually pretty picky on what games to play even as a kid. that, and I probably knew that a lot of these games had multiplayer and there would be, you know, other people there that I could play these games with, which, you know, we would do pretty often, so, you know, that checks out. It's a lot of these. Especially the Wii had a lot of multiplayer games. So that is one cool thing about them.
That's what I'm talking about. Great.
That's probably why a lot of my older game systems aren't in the best shape. Like my original Wii, actually, speaking of that, it no longer works, actually. Its disk drive no longer reads discs. So that's unfortunate. But I can think of a couple reasons why that's the case, so, you know, whatever.
You win.
Alright, there we go. That takes care of that challenge. Now, are those the only challenges in Plantano Bayou? Oh, by the way, there's a capsule over there that I missed. Apparently I can't jump from there. How am I going to get down there? Do I really have to go all the way around? I'm not going around! Come on, game. You know me. I freaking went on that ledge! What do you mean that's out of bounds? My god. I know, right? Even the game itself, it's like, what the heck is this bullcrap? Do I really have to bring my dinghy all the way around? That's so stupid. Fine, game, I'll do that. Ugh. I don't even know where I'm going. Oh, here we are. Alright, I think I was talking about my Wii breaking down. Or, like, just not working. Not really breaking down, just slowly deteriorating in terms of its disk drive. I think another big part is that we actually had some friends actually go out of their way to repair our system. Even though I don't think it needed repairs. I think we just bought faulty discs for the system that had a lot of scratches. Either that or we weren't very careful with them back then. I'm a lot more careful with them now. I'd still say that my Wii lasted a pretty long time. It lasted about, like, I think 8 or 9 years before it stopped working. But yeah, I wonder if I should tell that story now, because it's a pretty long one. There's a lot of layers to it, you know? It's like an onion. Or an ogre, if you will. But anyways. I remember this was actually this was during one of the vacations that we had. Where I brought my Wii. I believe this was 2012. I remember, because this was right around when Lego Batman 2 came out. By the way, we got the Quartermaster's eye patch. Pretty cool. Alright, I may as well go ahead and check if that's all the challenges for Plantano Bayou. Yep. Yep, it is. There's only 4 more challenges after this, which 3 of them are located on one island. So yeah. Let's go ahead and do those. Why don't we?